So here we are. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. We're going to have hopefully a sort of a good time together for a little bit, and here we go, straight into it. Essentially what you're going to be watching over the next few minutes, and I hope that you stick with me to the end, is me fumbling my way through recording a song in this hall that I'm in called St James's Hall. Now the thing to let you know is that straight away we are watching me just about a minute after I came up with this idea. Jesus, your name is above all names. I'll worship you above, I'll worship you all of my days. And this is an idea that I hadn't previously had. This isn't something that I had started recording in another way. This genuinely was me. This was genuinely me thinking, right, I'm going to start writing a song. And literally just the moment before I turned the camera on, I just was walking around this hall. This sort of beautiful reverb just going, Jesus, your name is above all names. And it was, I don't know if you just picked that up. I'm actually looking there for a really simple chord, but I got so hot and bothered in that hole that I just literally couldn't find it. And it's ridiculous because it literally, I think it's just a G. Yeah, this is a little bit embarrassing. There you go, and I found it. Actually, there are a few moments in this video where you're going to watch me genuinely wishing that the camera wasn't rolling. But of course, the purpose of doing this was to show the process of songwriting. And there are a few things that have happened already, even that I really want to sort of take note of. I don't know if you know much about Christian worship or about worship in general, but one of the most important things to remember is that when we are expressing ourselves in worship, unless the thing that we're worshipping is front and centre, it isn't really worship. So of course in this case we're talking about worshipping Jesus, and actually if I'm not putting Jesus front and centre, then I'm probably not gonna manage to complete it. So this is the reason why at the beginning of this video I start off literally with this, Jesus, your name is above all name. And the reason for that is that without that as the reality, there's nothing else to frame around it. And you're going to hear as the song goes on that I'm expressing some things that I'm saying are quite difficult. But without Jesus front and centre, I probably wouldn't actually completely manage to write the song. And actually, I'm not completely sure whether this song is completely finished yet. At the moment it's called From the Furthest Place, but I might revisit that and work on some of these ideas in a little bit of a deeper way. Here we go, it's your peace that surrounds me, and we're already getting to a kind of feeling of response. It's your peace that surrounds me always. You see, the reason why I did these videos, I mean, it's complicated, I guess. There's always an element of wanting to do something for myself, doing something that I could be proud of. But the reason why I filmed these videos was, firstly, because I wanted to share some ideas with you, but secondly, and really importantly, I wanted to capture some moments of genuine worship. Now, I don't know if you can see, but at the back of the hall, there's a little red fire hydrant on the left and the right. Not fire hydrant, what am I trying to say? Fire extinguishers. 2 little red fire extinguishers. Now the one to my, I guess it's to my left, is where I often will lead worship. So this hall is one that's quite known to me, and I've really known some incredible times of worship in this hall where I've been leading people in evenings of real prophetic worship, and there have been times when even small groups of us have been certain that we've been hearing heavenly song that hasn't come from us. Now, I mean, I'm a practical guy, so sometimes I think it's the reverb in the room that creates a real special vibe. And as a musician, finding a place that really suits my vocal and suits my guitar and suits my style is really important. But the way that I've experienced Jesus in that hall, I can't underemphasize really how important some of those times have been. I don't know if you notice, there's been a few times when I've been tapping away at the iPad. Essentially all I'm doing here is building this song sort of a little bit at a time, and I'm still, 6 minutes in, and I'm still working on the chorus here. Starting off with Jesus, your name's above all names, going into a sense of response, and in a way this is a little, it's a little bridge, if you like. It's a little bridge that is taking us in a slightly different direction. From a worship leading point of view, creating a moment where people can express themselves a little bit is really important. And so as a songwriter, there's times when I want to write a section of a song that is a little bit more open and a little bit more free, that gives people the opportunity to express themselves in sort of new and different ways. That's why this moment of it's your peace that surrounds me, your love overtakes. This gives the worshippers a moment that's not quite so assertive. Okay, now we're going to look for a verse. Ultimately, this is an idea that I left behind, but the idea is still central even with what I ended up writing. I cry out to you. Said a little bit earlier that we start off with this idea of worshipping Jesus because if we don't put God front and center in our worship, then we'll be self-serving. But when we come to the verse, we have to accept that true worship is about expressing heart and mind together. You see me here actually searching for, here we go, trying to search for what it is. From the furthest one to my heart. If you've heard the song already, you'll know just instinctively from hearing this that although the words there aren't quite right, the tune is there straight away. For those of you that have written songs before, or maybe even poetry, you'll know that one of the most important things to do is just to start throwing ideas down. And so there have been times where you've probably heard lyrics that I wouldn't genuinely or generally want anybody to really hear because they're embarrassing, they're not very good. But you got to get those things out. You've got to get them out of your mouth. You've got to get them out of your head. You've got to start figuring them out to try and figure out really what it is that you're trying to say. And we are starting to get there already from the furthest place that you found my heart. It's an uncomfortable place to be when you're sort of standing before God. Just having to accept that you really can't hide anything, even if you wanted to. It's funny, I was talking to a friend on Facebook when I posted this video up, and you know, we would, it was just over a couple of messages on the forum, but basically just saying, like, you know, to be honest with yourself is uncomfortable, but for me as a songwriter, I think I have to accept that if I don't write things that feel real to me, that I could very easily give the wrong impression to the listener, that it's like that you have to be sorted, that you have to know everything, that you have to not have any insecurities. And actually, the truth is that most of us don't feel worthy of God's love most of the time. Yeah, you can hear me sort of fumbling around. I don't know why you would, I don't know. But this is a really central, really important message in this song, that it's really okay to have these sorts of thoughts and insecurities, and actually acknowledging them. Although I'm not sure whether this song will end up being kind of used in corporate worship. It may not be sort of relevant in that forum, but it is important as a songwriter for me to make certain that people who are listening to me don't think that I don't have any sort of worries or insecurities or anything, because actually even this line, I don't know, is important and powerful. I think in a sense, let me just listen to this a sec. Yeah, I don't know why you'd want to make me free. I don't know if I've already mentioned this, but this idea that we can understand God's love and God's grace is difficult, really, because I don't know if you can really fully understand all of this stuff. And I know, for example, that you know, through Jesus' sacrifice and through him dying, that he reconciled me with God in a way that I can't do myself. But understanding exactly why is really, really difficult. And I think it's important sometimes just almost hold your hands up and say, God, I don't know why, but I love you for what you've done and why you've done it, and the access that you've given me to your heart. In a moment, I don't know if I've come up with the idea yet as I'm singing it, but I'm about to sing, but you love me the way you do. And this feels like an important part of the process to me. It's important because, first of all, I'm accepting, and we need to accept, you know, we don't understand. I know that sometimes my heart is not in the right place before God. But actually none of that's my decision. There you go. But you love me the way you do. You see, this is why it's so important in terms of this songwriting process. It's so important to start with Jesus at the front and centre. You see, if I'd have started with this from the furthest place idea, I'm not sure I would have ended up back at Jesus, because, you know, I'm almost saying like, oh, from the furthest place you find my heart. You know, I'm sort of acknowledging that I'm struggling in lots of different ways. But I know that God's love covers everything. His grace, the peace that passes all understanding, the peace that the Holy Spirit brings. And then as a launching point back into the chorus, there's this sort of linking line that draws all this together. I don't know why all of this stuff happens. I don't know why you love me the way you do. I'm surprised that you find me, that you look after me, you look out for me. And then this thing of, but you love me the way that you do. It's just that sort of resolve, like, well, I don't understand it, but I get that you are God. I get that you have your own ways and your own ways of doing things. And I can look and I can learn when I read scripture. But ultimately, that realization that Jesus will love us the way that he wants to love us launches right back into the chorus. Jesus, your name is above all names. And here we go. Here's the full song again. And I honestly, I really hope that you've enjoyed this. If you haven't sort of liked or subscribed, please do that. Please leave a comment. And if you have any sort of thoughts, ideas, or things you'd like me to do in the future, do let me know. From the furthest place that you find my heart, I don't know when I'll accept what you have done. From the furthest place that I find your heart, I don't know why you would want to make me free. But you love me the way you do. Jesus, your name is above all names. I will worship you all of my days. And I used to rise to the depths below. Your love will be with me always. It's your peace that surrounds me, your love overtakes. It's your love that melts my heart always. From the furthest place that you find my heart, I don't know when I'll accept what you've done for me. From the furthest place that I find your heart, you love me the way you do. Jesus, your name is above all names. I will worship you all of my days. From the highest of heights to the depths below, I will worship you all of my days. Oh, Jesus, your name is above all names. I will worship you all of my days. From the highest of heights to the depths below, I will worship you all my days. It's your love that surrounds me. Your love overtakes. It's your love that melts my heart always. It's your peace that surrounds me. Your love overtakes. It's your love